Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Motive Channel. We're here for the first round of the Touring Car Championship. Here, the opening round of the, well, obviously, for a little while, the first time since December that we've raced in the Touring Cars. I'm joined in the box tonight by Ryan. Ryan, who also joined me on yesterday on ACC in the GT3s. Ryan Ruby, welcome along, mate.
Hello, mate. It's good to be here for another night of entertaining racing.
Indeed, yes, it is. It was a pleasure to have you alongside me yesterday in the box. We had a lot of fun. There was a few little bits and pieces which kept us entertained over the course of last night. But I think tonight we're going to be in for a bit more of a... We're certainly going to be a bit more busy tonight, I think, with these touring cars and project cars too. There never is a dull moment. There's always action going on wherever you look, whether it's at the front, mid-pack or at the back. So I reckon we're in for a bit of a treat here tonight, but we're just under halfway through this qualifying session at the moment, and we're currently watching Flaky, who's actually one of the few drivers in this field this season to opt for a car that isn't the Renault Megane. As we would say hello to TTV, Alienzo in the chat there, who'll be racing with us in the GT5s over the course of this season. He'll be making his seasonal debut next week, obviously because he can't make it this week because he's on holiday at the moment, but yeah. He'll be joining us from next week onwards. Good to see him in the chat. But Ryan, I've got to ask your opinion on the Beamer as a car in the touring cars. Would you say it's a bit of a ballsy move from Flaky to go for it?
I've not really had much experience with it. I know that with personal experience, because I do own one of these BMWs, they are very lively on the rear end when they're light. So with these being even more stripped than a road-going one, it's going to be lively for the rear end to stay intact. On a track that's got fast corners, slow corners, it's going to be a true test on how it's going to feel through, say, like Island Bend and the double right-hander at the start of Sector 2.
Yeah, like you say, slow speed, high speed, medium speed corners, and not really too many straights either, so it's not really like there's going to be much of a redemption for it. So yeah, it's not going to be easy for drivers like Flaky, but he seems to be ragging it around at the moment. Then it's I'd say the Renault Meganes are going to be the favourites here tonight, but you just never know what's going to happen over the course of a race event. John Boy's currently setting the pace on a 1:39 dead, as Flaky's just a little bit up on his personal best there, but John Boy currently 2/10 ahead of WSRCJ. We see all these two both fighting it out at the sharp end on Monday night in the Clio Cup, and we're expecting them to be forces to be reckoned with here tonight. Lightblade, who was up there in the Clios on Monday night, also racing tonight, but not as a regular for the touring cars this season. Lightblade is in these as a reserve, so he's jumping in for the odd race here on a Thursday night, but he's not going to be here for every race. But yeah, it's good to see him out there. He's very quick in these touring cars. Cobb also, former racer here at Motive, used to race in the GT3s on a Saturday night for quite a while. Was the champion in Tier 2 for the GT3s. This is back during the height of COVID, where Motive was a lot bigger than it is now, due to the fact that everybody was at home. So yeah, Cobb during that time won Tier 2 of the GT3s, and I think won a few races in the Tier 1s for the GT3s as well, on project cars too. He's a bit of a touring car connoisseur now as well. Aussie Albie currently coming through his stop chicane, is racing with us for all three of our series on Project Cars 2 this season. Raced with us on Monday night in the Clios, and currently also one of the drivers alongside Flaky to be braving it out in the Beamer this season. He's 2/10 up, coming round on this lap that he's presently on at this moment in time, as he goes a little bit wide there, actually coming out of Druids, gets a bit onto the grass. You don't really lose too much time though going wide through there. You can kind of get away with it as long as you carry the speed. As long as you've got a wheel on the tarmac, you can kind of just drag it through. Aussie Albie a little bit wide there, a little bit squirrely as he came out onto the start-finish straight. Up towards the line he comes. What is it going to be for Aussie Albie? He lost a bit of time actually in the last sector there, lost about half a second.
This, as I was saying earlier about these BMWs when you asked earlier, it's going to be hard for them through Old Hill Bend, the last corner, because of the because them being rear-wheel drive and coming out of there over the crest through the bend. It's just going to lift that rear end up, and they're going to be full throttle. And as soon as they land those rear wheels on the ground, it's just going to kick them out. And I think that's where we're seeing the massive gap between, say, like John Boy and Jake to Aussie, because during the testing phase we've done for the last few weeks, Aussie has got the pace to be with these two up the front.
Yeah, he certainly has. I think that with a little bit of practice and maybe, because who knows what he could do in the Renault Megane, but yeah, he's definitely got a lot of talent. Aussie Albi's always pretty good in. Oh, hold on, mate. Ryan, I'm gonna have to hand over to you for a second, mate. One sec.
Hello, guys. So we'll just have a nice little flick through some of the guys. 90% of the guys here will be running the Renault Megane. It's one of the most one of the easiest cars to set up for these short races. So we got the 25-minute race, and then we got the longer race afterwards. So it's gonna be good to see where these guys come out, as Cobb and Light Blade are just under and just over a second away from John Boy. John Boy and Jay leading the way here, as we've got 54 seconds to go, as someone is just running wide. We'll just watch Jay come through Old Hill Bend. As you can see, that it doesn't seem to be that bad under control, under steering. As Flaky has just lost the back end in a drastic way and put it in the wall. Someone we want to watch out for is Aussie. He's very good in making a nice dive bomb overtakes and keeping the position and keeping it clean. So we might be seeing a few Aussie moves tonight from him. As just flicking through, no one is running in the Astra. As I think we're having a couple of issues with a couple of the drivers. Some of the guys are resetting in the pits because obviously there is no more time to gain. But as we watch Aussie here come around the last part of the lap, it may not be a fast one. He was 4 tenths down, he's 9 tenths down now. So this isn't going to be an improvement. It looks like it's going to be a P9 for Aussie if Xmart doesn't improve, as well as Alfonso. Or as Alfonso nearly just puts it into the chicane there. But as we watch Aussie Albi come through the Old Hill Bend, you'll see that back end just kick out slightly and push him wide. And across the line he's going to come, and there's not going to be an improvement there, unfortunately. Has John Boy got anything to say to give him a bigger gap for the start of this race? Nope. Lightblade jumping in there last second and going into 4 tenths of a second away from John Boy. Cobb as well jumping, as well as Nick de Villa. It's all jumped up. They're all within a second of each other now. So the top 5 are separated by a second, with Xmart being in P6, which is a good jump from Xmart. So that's pushed Aussie Albi down to P10. I don't know if Andy has made a reappearance.
Yeah, I was just waiting for the opportunity to jump back in there, Ryan. But yeah, great job from John Boy. WSRCJ, we've seen him get in the mid to high 138s in practice, but not able to replicate it there under the pressure of the first race of the season. Obviously a real race situation. But yeah, good to see Lightblade doing a good job here racing as a reserve tonight. Also, one thing to note, as some people will probably be aware, Xmart is actually a former champion of the touring cars here at Motive. Won season 5, I think, or season 4 of the touring cars. John Boy also a former champion. We have got 2 former champions out on track here tonight, so we're very privileged in that sense. But yeah, should be a great first race of the season. We're going to continue and jump into the race session now, as it doesn't look like Potato Doc's going to be starting the race. Unfortunately for him, he disconnected a few times, so I don't think he's going to be with us here for the opening round of this season, and that's obviously a shame there. But 14 drivers here on this grid getting ready to go for the 20-minute sprint race here at Oulton Park. It will be just a straight out sprint to the line. There's no pit stops, there's no extra sort of like rings to jump through. It's just a simple straight out race. You know, if you make a mistake, if you get damaged, there's no real route back in. And obviously after this race there'll be a feature race. It'll be a little bit longer, and it'll be a reverse grid based on the results from the sprint race. So the drivers who don't do as well in this one will get the opportunity to try and redeem themselves in that second race with an elevated grid start. But Ryan, yourself, you were racing on Monday night for the Clio Cup. Just tell the viewers what it's like with the reverse grid. Obviously, you finished relatively high in the first race on Monday night. What's it like when you've got a field of relatively close knit, close ability drivers?
It was quite hard for obviously like me and a few of the drivers, being John Boy, WSR, Jay, Lightblade, and a few others. We were leading the pack. I think at one point in that 20-minute first race, we had lapped a good bunch of cars in that 20 minutes. I mean, it was a short track anyway. But with a track that is so much so much base on slipstream, obviously with Monza short, all you've got is the first chicane and parabolica, and you're flat out for the rest of that lap.
Absolutely, it's
Or
a
as
very,
we've
very
just
different
seen someone jump further back.
Oh yeah. Well, we lights out and away we go anyway. And WSRCJ gets an absolute flyer here up into the lead. Nick de Villa a flash there behind Lightblade, but Jay leads coming into Old Hall corner as Nick is looking up the inside of Lightblade. But Lightblade, very wide there on the exit of Old Hall as It's Your Boy Squash is on the outside of Xmart in the background. Cobb in between them at the moment. Xmart's made the move on It's Your Boy Squash up into 6th place. Xmart up in position round the outside there of Cascades as we see a cone flying off there. Not sure who hit it, but it's oh no, Xmart, and it's your no, sorry, not Xmart. I do apologise. It's the other mild
Nick.
7, the other mild 7. Yeah, Cobb and Nick. So having a bit of a door bang there in towards Shallow Hairpin for the first time. It's WSRCJ from John Boy from Lightblade. Xmart in 4th. Nick de Villa's dropped down to 9th place, just behind Rick D there. Currently, so Nick de Villa having a bit of a moment. Cobb, though's currently running in 5th place, so he got away relatively lightly there with that one. Got a bit confused there with Xport and Cobb running the same livery. But now Cobb's got It's Your Boy Squash on the back of him. But WSRCJ making the perfect start there, Ryan. And he currently is showing the way here. John Boy is not letting him off.
Jay has made a slight mistake there coming through Hislops. Coming up Clay Hill now. They're going to be pushing it hard. John Boyd are going to look for the inside. Is he going to make it?
Oh, he needs to be careful. He's on the grass. Oh my gosh.
He's done the dive bomb and he has made that move. But now we're into the battle of Lightblade, John Boy and Jay, which are 3 drivers that are very, very competitive.
John Boy in quite a compromised position here because he's got Lightblade up his inside. He's got Jay just in front of him. And in the end, John Boy has to concede that one. Lightblade squeezing through up into 2nd place, but John Boy in a completely unenviable situation there because he had nowhere to go. He was just boxed in, and Lightblade there says thank you very much.
John Boy is looking for a move at every opportunity he's got now. He's just got to stick behind these 2 and pull a gap. As soon as they can get a gap from Xmart and Cobb, they can start battling hard.
Charlie Goff in the pits. Charlie Goff in the pits at the end of the first lap must have damage by the looks of it. So he's had a bit of a skirmish.
Oh no, that was his drive through.
Oh, did he jump start? Yeah, no, you're right.
That'd be who jump started. That went. I noticed at the start. Or is that John Boy making a slight mistake there through Ultra Shell? I'm having a starter moment.
Shell hairpin.
Yeah, that one.
But it looks like the top 3 breaking away from the rest of them a little bit now. Xmart has got Cobb on the back of him, sorry.
Down Rich.
Yeah, so Flakey's trying to break away a bit from Rick D, Nick de Villa and Ozzy Albie. Then you've got a bit of a gap back to Connor, who's running by himself in P10, but Xmart has got Cobb breathing down his neck at the moment. Lightblade's still hassling Jay. Jay and Lightblade have just gapped John Boy a little bit over this lap.
Lightblade had a good run out of Islops there and up Clay Hill. He gained a good half a second there coming out the corner. So we're going to see these 3 battle for most of the race from what I can tell. I think Andy has just had to drop out for a split second. But as we're watching Nick de Villa looking for a move on Rich, is he going to go down the inside? He's going to make the move down the inside. Nick de Villa, one of the drivers that is very good and very fast. Unfortunate to be so far back at this from the start. But he's trying to make his way up the pack. He's got 11 seconds to gain to get into this front 3. There's X-Mart doesn't seem to be closing onto John Boy. He's currently in a battle between him and Cobb, his teammate. Aussie just breaking away from Flaky. Flaky just made a slight mistake. Let's put him into the compromise of Connor and Nick de Villa. Is there going to be a move into Shell Hairpin? No, Flaky's just kept it together, but Nick de Villa is all over the back of Connor here. As Connor's just made a slight error through the hairpin. Nick de Villa has just tapped his rear end. As Lightblade has spun it and is dropped down from P2 to P5. Now that is not good for this battle that he's having, which it might help with him being in the reverse grid. Obviously, with the reverse grid, wherever you finish will be the opposite for where you start. So Jay, at the moment, he will be starting all the way down in P14 with John Boy in front of him. So this could be flipped totally on its head with these two battling. But now X-Mart is all over... Cobb is all over X-Mart, trying to make a move for this P3 now. Lightblade is just trying to close in this gap to Cobb and X-Mart as they battle away. Aussie is making a fairly decent gap to Flaky as he is slowly catching onto the back of Lightblade. So Lightblade possibly has some damage. I'm just going to get you Speedo up for you and the map. Yeah, we'll get the map up and the splits. So we'll go back a bit further. As Charlie Goff is making a move on Alfonso. Looked very easy for Charlie there, making his way up into P12. But Alfonso is actually looking to make a move on him here, down into Cascades. Alfonso has just made a slight mistake, clipped the grass, and is off the track, facing the wrong way. So that's going to be DJ Phil Green going to be taking P13 away from Alfonso. Nick de Villa is closing in onto Flaky now. He's made that pass on Rick, and here we come onto the back of Flaky. Flaky is big portion of time away from Aussie. It's 4 seconds now. So Nick de Villa is on a charge to get to this front pack of 6 cars. As we've got John Boy with just over a second away from Jay. As Jay has just made a mistake, and it's now put him in compromise of John Boy. Cobb has made it past X-Mart, and Lightblade is just in the region of closing onto X-Mart. Aussie is closing on Lightblade, but the battle here is Flaky and Nick de Villa. Nick de Villa is closing every lap, and Nick de Villa looks like he is on a push to get into this top 6. We're going to stay on board with Nick de Villa for a bit. As I come down towards Cascades, it's going to be a true test to see what handles better, the Renault Megane or that BMW 320. From what I can see is that Renault Megane is set up to handle that sweeping left-hander a lot more, as well as this sweeping left-hander. There has been some massive time gain there. It was 0.8 of a second, it's now down to 0.5. So 3/10 in 2 corners, and it is closing ever so slightly. Cobb is just making a little bit of a gap to X-Mart, being a former champion. We're hoping to see great things from X-Mart and John Boy here. Two drivers that have won the championship in the league. As Flaky... Nick de Villa has made a mistake and he's got damage. So he must have got some damage going through the chicane. And that has made him compromise to Rick now. Rick is catching him. There's not much battling between Jay and John Boy. The gap is just over a second. So John Boy should start to make a close in onto Jay if Jay makes a slight mistake. Which Jay, if he's under enough pressure, he can make mistakes. Not every driver's perfect.
Sorry, Ryan. I just had to jump out and have a quick conversation. Having a good battle up front by the looks of it. John Boy's keeping
Yeah, John
tabs.
Boy's just closing on JD certain points. It's here and there. It's going down to 0.8. It's going up to 1.3 throughout the lap. Nick De Villa was all over Flaky, and then he's made a mistake at some point in the second sector, and he's lost massive time, and he is losing more and more time. So his point is now getting charged by Rick.
Yeah, as we see, currently Flaky's in a bit of no man's land, but I mean, they seem a bit spread out at the moment.
He's closing in on Aussie. Aussie was 3.5 last lap. As Lightblade has made a mistake there.
Yeah, he's had a massive off there coming through his stops. He's got damage on the front as well. That bumper's hanging off a bit. I don't know if it was already like that before, but well, over halfway left in this race. So yeah, he's no pit stops obviously in the sprint race. So there's no kind of way back. There's no easy route back in if you do make a mistake.
As the first sort of pit stops have been made, I'm just going to quickly check, has there been any penalties for anyone? There has not been a single penalty for anyone yet.
So they can't be because track limits.
Track limits aren't on. That is very silly of me to check. But as we can see, John Boy is making a move on JD now. He's closed that gap up quite a bit, which from watching while she was away, Andy, the car from John Boy seems a lot more stable through that long sweeping left-hander of Cascades and Island Bend. I think Andy's just popped out again, but...
No, I'm still here, mate. I'm still here, sorry. Just got all sorts going on in the background right now, but...
Aussie is very getting caught by Flaky, so there could be a battle between the two BMWs here. There's three groups of two at the moment, which is Jay and John Boy, Cobb and X-Mart, which Cobb and X-Mart...
Lightblade in the pits. He's coming to get the damage repaired.
It's going to be a lengthy pit stop here, but this will help out Lightblade for the second race. He'll be starting towards the front. I'm guessing that he will probably be starting second, as Alfonso is quite a way away.
Oh, look at that. He has got big damage.
He has crashed again recently, and that damage is not looking healthy for him.
That looks borderline undrivable there. He's going to definitely need to be bringing that in just for his own comfort more than anything. But right now, Nick De Villa in a bit of battle.
Nick De Villa is just holding off this gap to Rick here. He has got a bit of damage, and it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Nick here with the next 7.5 minutes to go. He's going to struggle massively with that damage that he got from earlier on. But as we see Jay getting slightly caught by John Boy here, John Boy just needs to force an error onto Jay and put Jay further back.
Yeah, these two continuing to gap Cobb a little bit. Cobb's just edging that gap up a bit to X-Mart. And really the top four are just light years ahead of the rest of them. Obviously we've seen Lightblade make a couple of mistakes and pick up some damage on his car. But John Boy's got the gap under a second again between himself and WSRCJ. Those two just trading lap times. Rick D still can't seem to find a way through ahead of Nick De Villa. These two well out of position though. I mean, I to be honest, it's frustrating for me because I had to dip out for the start of the race, so I'm kind of a bit clueless as to how they all ended up in these positions.
Nick just lost it and unfortunately lost a bit of time. He was closing in onto the back of Flaky.
Yeah.
Which if he was on the back of Flaky right now, he would be in a three-way battle for this P5. As Lightblade is back out on track, and he is 37 seconds away from DJ Phil.
Ryan, John Boy was just 8 tenths quicker then WSRCJ on that last
Oh, here
lap.
we
He
go.
is
Here we
on an
go.
absolute charge right now. And I think that John Boy's going to be looking to try and make a move here on WSRCJ. Is he going to just try and distract WSRCJ in the move? Is he going to try and make him think that he's making the move? Or is he going to
What we've
and...
just missed is that Cobb has just gone off, coming in through Cascade, and that's just put Xmart up to P3 again.
Well, what I was going to say about these two here is just John Boy. Does John Boy try and make Jay think he's making a move? Does he to try and force Jay's hand, maybe to try and kind of force Jay into a mistake? Because John Boy at this point might not have an answer in terms of pace, in terms of sticking one up the inside, but can he try and suss Jay out enough to force Jay into doing something that might cause him to surrender his lead?
They're fellow mates in that they both want good points, but I know that John Boy does love to boast a bit to Jay that he beats him. So I'm thinking that he's going to suss him out for a little bit, which is what John Boy usually does. We saw it when I was racing in the Clios on Monday, and when we've done these test races before. He loves to suss out what Jay's doing and where Jay is making these subtle mistakes, which I can tell you that he is making a mistake through his stops chicane. So we might see a dive bomb into his stops and Jay come out in front, or we might see a move here through Cascades, because Cascades is one tricky corner, and Jay's car is not set up perfectly for for Cascades.
No, it doesn't look like it at all. He was very wide there. John Boy is just sat almost underneath him at this point. As he came through the Island Bend, John Boy was a little bit on the grass, but he's living dangerously at this point. He's probably at this, as you say earlier on, just trying to suss him out. And Jay has regularly come second best to John Boy in previous championships. John Boy's won 2 championships here at Motive in the touring cars. Jay was sort of like a mid-pack to sort of like prominent to mid-pack runner last time he raced here at Motive. But he's
Jay's
improved no end.
defending that inside line. He knows that he can make a move here. There's a little bit of a lock-up.
They both lost it. That's John Boy. They lost it coming into the first part of the chicane, but Jay has binned it into the bollard. And John Boy, after making a mistake, has now got the lead.
That was unlucky for both of them there, really. I knew that something was going to happen because Jay's not locked up there throughout this race, and he made that subtle lock-up. I know that Jay's struggling through his stops. Like I was saying to you earlier,
the thing is, I think the John Boy's mistake. I think the John Boy's mistake was maybe as a reaction to Jay's lock-up coming into the corner, because Jay went a bit. Jay was going near him. Well, no. I think that John Boy, just because he had to switch line going into the corner to avoid running into the back of Jay, and then that caused him to have to spin. But then Jay went straight into the bollard.
This is going to give Mark a chance here. Mark could nab P2 from Jay if Jay makes one more mistake.
If he's got damage, then Mark could definitely have a good chance.
Oh, here we go. Flaky and Aussie Albie are now battling away. With 3 minutes to go, this is where it's going to start heating up.
Right, I've got to tell you something about these two. These two have got a bit of history. Back in the start of Motive, about 2.5 years ago now, it would have been March of 2020. These two were in a race at Watkins Glen in the GTEs, and they had a bit of an incident, should we say. Flaky had gone off the track and was rejoining. Aussie Albie was coming round, and they had a bit of a crash together. And there were words said. These two had a bit of beef. There's certainly going to be it's going to be a bit of a tense moment here. Flaky deep. Oh,
Flaky just locked that rear end up, and that was by the time that rear end locks up, you are finished for, and that is not good for him. But we go back to JD. He's just taking his stops a little bit easier now from when he was in the lead. He was flying through there and drifting through the left-hander.
Alfonso in the pits, Ryan. Again.
Alfonso's having some real bad issues with being here today. But Xmart is closing on JD every lap now. He's got a minute enough. He's got 2 laps to go. No, it'll be 1 lap to go from this point. So Cobb is just caught up to Xmart from that mistake that he made earlier, but Xmart is now 1 second away from JD. this could make a last lap battle between these two.
Yeah, this could be a pretty exciting one. Jay, we know, is struggling a little bit. Last lap, Jay did a 1:44. That was obviously the lap after the lap that he made the mistake. So he's really struggling.
In it through
He is paddling at this point, and Xmart's going to be smelling blood at this point. Xmart's a driver that does not need a second invitation. If he gets one little sniff of this podium, or not this podium, even a second place spot in this race, he is going to take it. But the thing is, Cobb's going to be sent to the podium now because he can see that Xmart is being held up behind Jay. Jay's not going to be making this easy for Xmart.
Really struggling here.
This will back Cobb. This will back Xmart into Cobb, and this could leave both of them vulnerable to Cobb right behind them. As Xmart no way through. Jay is parking his car in the right places.
Out of Britain's here, coming in down towards his stops.
Textbook defending here from WSRC. Jay down towards hip stop. They come
this be another issue? Always looking to the outside.
Yeah, Jay just going a bit deep onto the brakes, but judging it perfectly there with the damage on the car. And Xmart no way round. Cobb there waiting in the wings, but can't seem to squeeze through. Oh, Jay, bit of a mistake there coming out of Knickerbrook. Now Xmart looking to the outside. Jay losing the space. This is going to be side by side maybe. No, Jay had the momentum there. Xmart had to get out of it a bit there. Into Druids we come for the final time. We've got to jump to John Boy though, because the race leader's going to be coming to the final corner. Here he comes up into Lodge now. John Boy has done everything right here in this one. Had a bit of a battle with Jay. Pulled away with Jay's mistake. Up towards the line, a flash of the lights. John Boy, the two-time champion of the touring cars here at Motive, takes the first race of the season.
Back to these three as
Xmart's done it.
Jay's come off.
Yeah, Xmart's done it. Cobb's done it as well. So did Xmart just tag Jay there? Because Cobb has done both of them up into second place. I think Xmart might have tagged Jay round. He's given the place back, yeah. So Xmart must have just helped him round coming through Lodge. And so Cobb second, Jay third, and Xmart fourth in the end. So ultimately, Cobb coming through and jumping both of them. Aussie Albie fifth ahead of Flaky, who came home in sixth place in the end. Nick DeVita seventh. Rick D finishing eighth place with Charlie Goff in ninth. It's your boy Squash. I think it's going to be coming around in a moment's time for P10. Connor Boylan is going to be finishing 11th. Yeah, here he comes. It's your boy Squash up towards the line for 10th place position here. And he's a little way ahead of Connor.
Connor's coming out of Old Hill Bend. And coming up to the line and comes. He'll be taking P11, which will be P4 for him in the start of the next race.
Certainly will.
We're just waiting on DJ Phil now.
Yeah, Liveblade, I think, is a lap down. Avo Alfonso finished the race in the pits, retired a long way from home. He was in that pit lane for quite a long time there. 11 minutes of that race he spent in that pit lane.
11 minutes. So he had, I think he eventually had given up with this. It's a very difficult track to drive in any car. I think the only car that I've ever found it nice is the Formula Rookies and the GT5s. That's the only tracks I've found, cars that I've found that are nice around here.
Absolutely.
Other than the supercars on Project Cars 1.
Yeah.
Supercars around here and Project Cars 1 were brilliant.
I can't comment. But that is that then. DJ Phil, the last driver to cross the line, and Lightbait's finished the race. Avo Alfonso still in the pits. I think we're going to have to run out the clock here because when a driver finishes the race in the pits, they don't actually reach a checkered flag.
Massive gap. But definitely, Jay and Xmart had made some contacts. I can tell they have by the voice chat on the bottom left of my screen.
Yeah, you can tell just by the fact that Xmart had overtaken him and then was backing off, let Cobb pass, let Jay pass.
Definitely, and you can see by the finishing times that Jay was defending and he was slowing them down. As Cobb ended up with a 142, Jay ended up with a 148, and Xmart finished with a 147, where they were doing 139s for most of the race.
Yeah, definitely a bit of damage there.
But Jay getting the fastest lap of the race.
Extra point, yeah, extra 2 points it is for fastest lap here at Motive in the Project Cars.
Oh wait, no, he isn't.
Really? Who got it?
The fastest lap is Lightblade.
No way.
Lightblade has done a 139.187 and Jay done a 139.242.
So Lightblade there making some consolation from a dismal opening round of the season there for him. But guys, stick around because we'll be back very, very shortly on a new stream for the second race of the evening. We'll be about 10 minutes or so. We're just going to obviously get the drivers to know their grid positions for this second race, and then we'll be getting going for the formation lap. So yeah, give us 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We'll be posting the link on the Discord, and yeah, see you very soon.